Hey, today I'm talking about all three films featuring both Cary Grant and Irene Dunne. And the names of those three movies are My Favorite Wife, Penny Serenade, and The Awful Truth. First up is My Favorite Wife. This is a 1940 film, and the basic premise is Cary and Irene are a married couple, but Irene goes off on this boat expedition and seemingly dies. It has been 7 years. So Cary Grant is like, okay, enough time has passed, I can move on, officially declare her dead and get remarried. But on the date in which he gets remarried, who would show up but his original wife, Irene. Thankfully, he's still madly in love with her. Unfortunately, he sucks at communication. So the whole film is just him struggling to tell his current new wife that his original wife is back and he's gonna go back to her, as well as some other communication issues. And it's a lot of fun. It's super cute. It's super adorable. I was laughing the entire way through. The main joke is Cary's inability to just convey bad news. I get it, he doesn't want to hurt the person, but by not saying anything, he's making the situation so much worse, which does get called out eventually. And it's so funny. That's really the first half of the film. And then the second half of the film, it gets a bit more twisty and there's a bit more communication issues going on that really brought so much more life into the film. They really played up that first joke just before it got to being too much. And then they brought in this whole other new joke that's more complicated, and it was so much fun. I won't get into specifics because it is a fun surprise. And I didn't expect them to do that or those twists, but they make perfect sense. It was a very natural place for the film to go. I've always been a fan of Cary. Cary's so delightful and charming and can't do no wrong. This was my first experience with Irene, and she is such a force in this film. Even when she was just like watching stuff play out, my eyes were still drawn to her, just because like her very subtle reactions to everything spoke volumes and were so hilarious. Yeah, no, calling her a force is really the perfect description of her. She was just so delightful. She's just playing a game, having a ball, and I was enjoying that. What's so great about the film too is like, it is silly, it's ridiculous, but I could still feel for everyone emotionally. Like there was a good emotional base there. I felt for the new wife who was having the worst day ever. Her husband just suddenly ignoring her and all this stuff, but also laugh at the situation. And the same for Cary. I totally know not wanting to hurt someone's feelings despite needing to say this stuff. I've been in that situation so many times, but also still being able to laugh at it. And then with Irene, same thing. It's got a great emotional base with so much wonderful humor on top. I love this movie so much and would totally recommend it. It is so fun, it's so silly, and just really hits every which way you want it to. So yeah, no, crazy love this movie, totally recommend. Next up is Penny Serenade. This is a 1941 film, and the basic premise is this couple is breaking up. On the day they're about to part, Irene is collecting her things and she finds this special photo album that she has that's not only photos, momentums from their relationship, but also it has records with songs from key moments of their relationship. So like their friend puts on the first one and then she gets sucked into reminiscing, thinking about this music and thinking about their life together. So then it goes back through and we see their entire relationship. And I really love that premise. I think that's a really interesting, cool idea. Both in like, it's a relationship that's doomed, so seeing how it first bloomed and knowing the tragedy of it's about to end is a fun concept. And then also having that playlist of their life is so fun and interesting. Especially too because like they talk about the songs in each of the moments, or like it's very clear why this song is existing. For them to have music be so ingrained into their relationship really justified the music as this framework for viewing the relationship. I definitely enjoyed this movie a good solid amount. Like the performances were great. There were some good emotional moments. It's a quite like, so it's basically a 4 out of 5 for me. I definitely have my complaints with it. My big one is Irene is very baby crazy. Again, it's the 40s and like everyone is just assumed to want to have kids and all that jazz. But I still want there to be a reason for her to want to have kids. Like her childhood dream. Family was so important to her growing up. Something. Because it's just like she opens opens a fortune cookie and it's like, in your future is a baby. And that was the introduction to it, which just felt so strange because it was just like, okay, here's this relationship that's happening. Now it's like, okay, now it's about this other thing. It didn't feel the smoothest. I wanted more there. And then on top of that, once there is a baby that gets introduced, I kind of lost interest with the film a bit. I just didn't find it as compelling. Like, there's a whole thing with like getting the baby to stop crying, and that just didn't do anything for me. There was a whole Christmas section that I did find very compelling and interesting. And then like the very end drama I really liked. That said though, the transition into the end drama, a big dramatic moment happened, but we don't see it. It's described to us via a letter, and that felt like it kind of robbed us of the emotions of that moment. The letter was describing weeks worth of stuff, so I get not showing it, but I didn't feel it as much as I wanted to, and I think it's just because it was described to us instead of shown to us. And since it's the end of the movie, you really need those emotions there. But yeah, no, I still enjoyed this movie a good solid amount, and I would recommend it. Especially if you have kids, I think there's a lot for you to grab onto. As a childless adult, that stuff can be lost on me. But I do think it's a film that anyone could enjoy. It just might not land the best for everyone, which is fine. So yeah, no, if it looks interesting to you, definitely go for it. There's a good chance that you will also enjoy it a good solid amount. So yeah, no, solid film, would recommend. And lastly is The Awful Truth. This is a 1937 film, and the basic premise is this married couple do not trust each other whatsoever. And there is good reason to believe that she cheated on him, because everyone knows that anytime a man or woman is alone together, they're most likely hooking up. So they're getting a divorce, and they have 90 days till it's finalized. So the film was basically the course of that 90 days as they realize that maybe they shouldn't be in a divorce. This is definitely a much loved film, and this was definitely a big kicking off point for Cary Grant's career, and I can see why. I thought it was just fine, kind of middle of the road to me. I didn't really laugh as much as I wanted to. I didn't really connect with it as much as I wanted to, but it's definitely not a bad film. Apparently, most of the film was improvised. They had a rough outline for the story and kind of general scenes, but oftentimes they would just show up day of, the director would give a prompt, and then they would play off of that prompt and make the scene around that. And upon learning that, that explains a lot of my, let's say, misgivings of the film. That it often kind of felt like we were just meandering, we were just kind of hanging out, that it didn't necessarily feel like we were going places. Like, there were a lot of scenes that were just straight up the main character is playing with the dog. Or like there was a scene near the end where, it's not really a spoiler, Irene is trying to mess with Cary and she pretends to be his sister, and it's just a scene of her dicking around, but it didn't really fully make sense. Like, her messing with him made sense, but like she had to go out of her way to really mess with him. It didn't feel like she really needed to mess with him at that point. So yeah, I don't know. I get its significance for their careers, and it was an interesting film to watch. I'm sure this has inspired other similar stories I've seen before of couples breaking up and realizing, oh, actually we should be together. But it just didn't really hit me as well as I wanted to. I still liked it. I still thought it was fine. Would I recommend it? Cautiously. I definitely think there is joy to be got from this film, but I don't feel like it holds up as well as their other films. So yeah, it's an alright little film that I would cautiously recommend. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got My Favorite Wife, sitting number 4 in the really like section. And then after that is Penny's Serenade, sitting number 11 in the quite like section. And then bringing up the rear is The Awful Truth, sitting number 14 in the liked section. And this is out of a total of 18 old movies so far this year.